Forget everything you thought you knew about the gold rush. We're not talking about cheerful prospectors striking it rich overnight. Today, we're digging deep into the truly gruesome, chilling secrets buried beneath the gilded facade of one of America's most famous eras. You won't believe what the 49ers really endured. The year is 1848. Gold is discovered at Sutter's Mill in California. Suddenly, a whisper turns into a roar, echoing across the continent and beyond. Gold in California! This wasn't just a rumor, it was a promise of instant riches, a chance to escape a life of toil for one of unimaginable wealth. The myth was intoxicating. People from all walks of life, farmers, clerks, doctors, soldiers, dropped everything. They sold their homes, left their families, and poured their life savings into a one-way ticket to fortune. Look at this map. These lines represent the treacherous paths they took, whether crossing the vast, unforgiving plains of the American continent, facing blistering deserts and impassable mountains, or braving the perilous sea routes around Cape Horn or through the disease-ridden Isthmus of Panama. The journey itself was a gamble with death. Many never even saw California. They arrived, if they were lucky, not to streets paved with gold, but to a harsh, crowded, and chaotic reality. The initial excitement, the dreams of scooping up gold nuggets like pebbles on a beach, faded almost as soon as they arrived. They quickly learned that the real price of gold was not paid in dollars, but in blood, sweat, and sanity. The dream of quick wealth evaporated into a nightmare of survival. The mining camps were sprawling, makeshift towns plagued by filth and desperation. Food was astronomically expensive and dangerously scarce. A single egg could cost the equivalent of $50 today. Many prospectors survived on a monotonous, nutrient-poor diet of salt pork, hard biscuits, and coffee. This led to rampant malnutrition and diseases like scurvy, which caused teeth to fall out and old wounds to reopen. The water was no better. The same rivers they panned for gold were also their sewers and their drinking source, contaminated with human waste and the mercury used in mining. This created a perfect breeding ground for deadly waterborne diseases. Cholera and dysentery swept through the camps like wildfire, killing thousands with terrifying speed. A man could be healthy in the morning and dead by nightfall. Beyond the physical suffering was the crushing psychological toll. Imagine spending months, even years, standing waist-deep in freezing water, digging through tons of rock and dirt, only to find nothing. The isolation was profound. Surrounded by strangers, far from family and everything familiar, many men descended into a spiral of loneliness and despair. Mental breakdowns were common. There's the chilling story of a prospector named John who, after a year of fruitless labor and crippling debt, was found wandering the wilderness, having completely lost his mind, talking to imaginary companions and clutching a bag of worthless rocks he believed were gold. His story was tragically not unique. Where there is desperation and a lack of law, darkness thrives. The gold rush boom towns were magnets for the most lawless elements of society. These were places overflowing with saloons, gambling dens, and brothels. Robbery and murder were everyday occurrences. A man who struck a decent claim might be found dead the next morning, his gold and his life stolen. With no established police force or court system, justice was often a matter of who had the faster gun or the bigger mob. This chaos led to the rise of so-called vigilance committees. These groups of self-appointed citizens took the law into their own hands. While they claimed to be restoring order, their methods were often brutal and swift. A simple accusation could lead to a quick trial by a drunken crowd, followed by an immediate hanging from the nearest tree. There was no due process, no real investigation. This was frontier justice at its most terrifying. One of the most infamous cases is the disappearance of a prospector known as the Dutchman. He supposedly discovered a massive gold vein, but he vanished without a trace before he could file his claim. Was he murdered by a jealous rival? Did he get lost in the unforgiving wilderness? Or was his legendary mine just a myth that cost him his life? His body was never found, and his story became another ghost story whispered around campfires, a grim reminder of the dangers that lurked in the gold fields. The sheer number of people who died during the gold rush is staggering. Tens of thousands perished from disease, starvation, accidents, and violence. But what's even more haunting is how they were forgotten. In the mad scramble for wealth, there was little time or thought for proper burials. The dead were often wrapped in a blanket, if they were lucky, and hastily buried in shallow, unmarked graves wherever they fell. Archaeologists today are still unearthing these sad relics. They find mass graves near old mining camps, filled with the skeletons of young men who died far from home. Sometimes the discoveries are even more unusual, revealing signs of a violent end or a desperate struggle for survival. These forgotten burial sites are scattered all across the Sierra Nevada foothills, a silent testament to the immense human cost of the gold fever. Thankfully, there are now efforts to change this. Historians and local communities are working to identify these lost souls through old records and modern technology. They are creating memorials to finally give a name and some dignity to the thousands of prospectors who were simply erased from history, their dreams buried with them in the cold California soil. The scars of the gold rush are not just human. They are etched into the very landscape of California. To get at the deeper gold deposits, miners developed a technique called hydraulic mining. They used high-pressure water cannons to literally wash away entire hillsides. This process choked rivers with sediment, destroyed farmland downstream, and poisoned the water with mercury and other toxic chemicals for decades. The environmental devastation was immense, and parts of the state are still recovering from it today. So, when we look back at the gold rush, we see more than just a story of wealth and opportunity. We see a story of incredible hardship, shattered dreams, and a staggering human and environmental cost. It forces us to ask a difficult question. What is the true price of progress? How much darkness are we willing to accept in our relentless pursuit of ambition and wealth? The gilded legend of the gold rush shines brightly, but its shadows run deep, hiding truths that are far more valuable than gold. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the dark side of history as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden stories. We'll see you next time.